Most people believe a simple truth. They believe that more money means more freedom. They chase a bigger paycheck. They work longer hours. They climb the corporate ladder, rung by rung. This idea feels solid. It feels like common sense. But it is a myth, a grand illusion that shapes countless lives. A high income by itself does not purchase true freedom. There is a vast and often unseen canyon between earning a high salary and building real, lasting wealth. This distinction is the trap that nobody sees, a subtle current pulling people away from the shores of financial independence. This difference starts not in a bank account, but in the mind. It begins with the way we think about money. Two fundamental mindsets guide our financial decisions, often without our awareness. One is the salary mindset. The other is the wealth mindset. The salary mindset is tethered to the immediate. It focuses on earning money now, trading time for dollars. The wealth mindset, in contrast, looks toward the horizon. It is about making money work for you over the long passage of time. These two ways of thinking lead to vastly different choices. Those choices carve out the landscape of a person's life and financial destiny. We are told a story from a young age. Go to school, get good grades, find a secure job. This is the blueprint for a good life. It is a path walked by millions. It promises stability. It offers a predictable reward for effort. But this path often leads directly into the heart of the salary mindset. It trains us to see a job as the only source of security. It teaches us to value the paycheck above all else. What the story leaves out is the most important part. It doesn't teach us how to build something that lasts beyond the next payday. The journey to understanding this difference is a quiet one. It doesn't announce itself with loud fanfare. It begins with a simple question. Is the money I earn today buying me more freedom for tomorrow? Or is it simply funding a more expensive version of the same cage? The answer reveals which mindset is in control. It shows whether you are on the path to simply earning or on the more deliberate journey toward owning. The distinction is subtle, yet it holds the key to unlocking a future where your life is not dictated by the need for your next paycheck. The salary mindset operates on a simple, direct exchange. You trade your time for money. You show up to work for a set number of hours. In return, you receive a predictable amount of pay. This is the foundation of the modern economy for most people. The moment you stop trading your time, the income stream dries up. The person living within this mindset is entirely dependent on their ability to work. They are constantly thinking about their job, hoping for a raise, scanning job boards for a slightly better position. Their security is tied directly to their employer. This mindset is deeply rooted in the human need for security. A steady paycheck feels safe. It arrives on a schedule you can count on. You know how much will be in your account next Friday. This predictability allows for planning. It helps you pay the mortgage, buy groceries, cover monthly bills. The comfort this provides is powerful. It feels like a warm blanket on a cold night. But this very comfort can become a limitation. It can discourage the small, calculated risks that are often necessary to build something more substantial, to create a source of income independent of a job. The core limitation of the salary mindset is its direct link between time and money. There is a hard ceiling on how much you can earn. To make more money, you have two options. You can work more hours, or you can find a way to get a higher hourly rate. Both of these paths have natural limits. There are only so many hours in a day. You cannot work indefinitely, and there is a limit to how much any employer will pay for a single person's time. This framework traps income in a linear equation, preventing the exponential growth that true wealth creation requires. This is not a flaw in character. It is a learned behavior. Society rewards this mindset. We celebrate promotions, high-paying jobs. We are conditioned to see a large salary as the ultimate prize. This reinforces the idea that our value is measured by how much someone is willing to pay for our time. It encourages a focus on short-term gains, like a year-end bonus, rather than on building a long-term system for financial independence. The security it offers is real, but it is also fragile, dependent entirely on forces outside of your control, like the health of your company or the whims of the economy. The psychology behind the salary mindset is compelling. It is driven by powerful primal emotions. The fear of loss is a primary motivator. The thought of losing a job and the steady paycheck can be terrifying. This fear dictates major life choices. It might cause someone to stay in a job they dislike. It might stop them from starting a small business on the side. They cling to the known. The unknown feels too risky. This fear creates invisible walls around a person's potential. It keeps them locked in a cycle of earning and spending without getting ahead. Another driver is the preference for immediate rewards. The salary mindset is fueled by a short-term reward cycle. You work for 2 weeks and get a paycheck. You can immediately use that money to buy things that make you feel good. A nice dinner out, a new gadget, a weekend trip. This provides a quick hit of satisfaction. It feels like progress. But when instant gratification dominates, it undermines long-term saving and investing. This leads to emotional dependency on the paycheck. A person's mood rises and falls with their bank balance. Days before payday, low-grade anxiety. Payday, relief and temporary abundance. This roller coaster makes long-term goals hard to plan. Money becomes constant stress, not a tool to build the future. Decisions become reactive, seeking security or easing scarcity. This dependency creates a feedback loop. Life structured around the next paycheck leaves little room for error. An unexpected car repair or medical bill can throw everything into chaos. It reinforces the feeling that one can never get ahead. Working harder and chasing raises seems like the solution. But without changing mindset, more income fuels the same cycle at a higher level. The psychological chains of the paycheck are not iron, but habit, fear, short-term comfort. There is a hidden trap that ensnares many who succeed within the salary mindset. It is a quiet, subtle thief of financial freedom. This trap is called lifestyle inflation. It is the natural tendency to increase one's spending as income rises. It seems logical. You get a raise so you can afford more. You can finally get that bigger house. You can finally get that nicer car. You can finally get those more expensive vacations. On the surface, this looks like success. It feels like you are enjoying the fruits of your labor. But in reality, it is often just a more decorated version of the same cage. Imagine a young professional who gets their first significant promotion. Their salary jumps by 20%. They feel successful. To reward themselves, they move from a modest apartment to a larger one in a more desirable neighborhood. They upgrade their old car to a new model with a higher monthly payment. They start dining out at fancier restaurants. They start buying designer clothes. Each purchase feels justified by the new, higher income. But at the end of the month, they find that they still have very little left over. The raise has been completely absorbed by a more expensive lifestyle. This phenomenon keeps people in the exact same financial position, just with more expensive possessions. They are still living paycheck to paycheck. But now the paychecks are larger, and the consequences of losing one are even greater. The stress does not disappear. It simply scales up. The anxiety over a $1,000 mortgage becomes anxiety over a $3,000 mortgage. The person is running faster on the hamster wheel, but they are not actually getting anywhere. They have more stuff, but they have no more freedom than they did before the raise. This cycle creates a deep emotional dependency on the high income. The person becomes accustomed to their new standard of living. The thought of going back to a simpler lifestyle feels like a personal failure. This makes them even more risk-averse. They are less likely to leave a high-stress job. They are less likely to pursue a passion project that might have a lower initial income. They are trapped by the golden handcuffs of their own lifestyle choices. The freedom that the higher salary was supposed to provide has been traded away for monthly payments, and the pressure to maintain a certain image of success. The wealth mindset operates on a fundamentally different principle. It is not about trading time for money. It is about ownership. It focuses on acquiring and building assets. An asset is something that has the potential to generate income for you, independent of your direct hourly labor. They can be shares of a company, a piece of real estate that generates rental income, intellectual property like a book or a patent, or a business that runs on a system. The core idea is to create or buy things that work for you, so you don't have to work for every single dollar you earn. A critical component of this mindset is the understanding of leverage. The salary mindset has no leverage. It is a one-to-one trade of your time for money. The wealth mindset actively seeks leverage. This means using systems, other people's time, or capital to magnify your efforts. An author writes a book once, but it can be sold millions of times, leveraging the initial effort. An investor uses their capital to buy stocks, leveraging the work of thousands of employees at that company. A business owner creates systems and hires a team, leveraging other people's time to grow the enterprise far beyond what they could do alone. In the salary mindset, money is for spending. It is the reward for work. In the wealth mindset, money is a tool. It is a seed that can be planted to grow into something larger. Every dollar is seen as a potential worker that can be sent out into the world to earn more dollars. This perspective changes spending habits dramatically. Before making a purchase, a person with a wealth mindset might ask, is this purchase moving me closer to or further away from my goal of financial freedom? Could this money be used to buy an asset instead? Investing early and consistently is the practical application of this philosophy. The wealth mindset understands the power of compound returns, where the earnings from your investments start generating their own earnings. This creates an exponential growth curve over time. It is a patient game. It does not seek instant riches. It focuses on a steady, disciplined process of accumulation. The goal is not just to have a high income, but to build a base of income, producing assets so large that the income from those assets can eventually cover all of your living expenses. This is the point where work becomes a choice, not a necessity. The psychological traits of the wealth mindset are the mirror opposite of the salary mindset. The most important is delayed gratification. It's the ability to resist temptation and aim for a much larger future reward. Save and invest an extra $100 this month instead of spending it on a night out. Pack a lunch instead of buying one and watch those savings grow over decades. It requires a long-term perspective, not swayed by short-term market swings nor sensational headlines. They don't panic sell after a bad week. Building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. Focus on 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. That long view helps you weather storms and let assets grow through time and compounding. Emotional discipline is a cornerstone. Separate emotions from financial choices. A raise isn't an excuse to upgrade your lifestyle. It's a chance to accelerate asset acquisition. Invest first, then spend what's left. Automate saving and investing. Avoid keeping up with the Joneses because the goal is to be wealthy, not just look wealthy. This creates agency and control, not dependent on an employer but the architect of your financial future. Don't wait for a raise, build multiple income streams. That creates empowerment. Destiny isn't set by your boss or the economy, it's set by daily habits and choices. Not just earning a living, but designing a life of freedom, one disciplined decision at a time. The principles of the wealth mindset are not just abstract theories. They are visible in the stories of real people. Consider the story of Bill Gates. In the early days of Microsoft, he did not prioritize a high salary for himself. His focus was on ownership. He retained a significant equity stake in the company he was building. His immense wealth was not generated from a paycheck. It was the result of owning a scalable asset, a software company that grew to have a global impact. His story is a powerful example of choosing ownership and long-term value over immediate, salaried income. But you do not need to be a famous tech billionaire to apply this mindset. Think of the quiet investor next door. This is a person who might be a teacher. This is a person who might be a nurse. This is a person who might be an engineer. They earn a modest but steady salary. They live a life that appears average from the outside, but behind the scenes, they are practicing remarkable discipline. For 30 years, they have consistently saved 15% of their income. They invest this money into low-cost, diversified index funds. They don't try to time the market. They just keep buying month after month, year after year. Over time, the magic of compounding takes hold. Their small, consistent contributions begin to grow, then accelerate. After 3 decades of patient investing, this quiet investor has accumulated a portfolio worth over $1 million. They never earned a spectacular salary. They never made a risky bet that paid off big. Their wealth was built slowly, quietly, and deliberately. They reached financial freedom not through a high income, but through consistent habits and a long-term perspective. Their story proves that the path to wealth is accessible to anyone willing to practice discipline. Now consider an average earner who decides to build a small side business. They love to bake. They start by selling cakes to friends and family. Then they set up a simple website to take local orders. They reinvest the profits back into better equipment and marketing. Over several years, the side business grows. It eventually generates enough income to match their full-time salary. They now have a choice. They can quit their job to focus on the business, or they can keep both income streams. They have built an asset that gives them options. They have moved from being just an employee to being an owner. The difference between the salary mindset and the wealth mindset becomes clearest when you look at daily habits. A person with a salary mindset often thinks about how to work harder to earn a raise. They see their primary path to more money as impressing their boss, finding a higher paying job. When they get a bonus, their first thought is often, what can I buy with this? They might react to a stock market downturn with fear, tempted to sell their holdings to avoid further losses. Their spending is often influenced by a desire to display status-buying things to signal success to others. In contrast, a person with a wealth mindset thinks differently. They look for opportunities to acquire or build assets. When they receive extra money, their first thought is, how can I invest this? They see money as a tool to deploy. During a market downturn, they see a buying opportunity, assets on sale. Good time to acquire more at lower prices. Their focus is not on short-term noise, but on the long-term goal of accumulation. Consider their approach to debt. The salary mindset treats debt as a tool for consumption. Cars, vacations, electronics, things that lose value over time. That debt creates monthly payments that eat income and reduce flexibility. The wealth mindset is wary of consumer debt. They might use debt strategically to buy assets that grow or generate income. Rental property business loan. One type of debt makes you poorer. The other can make you richer. Finally, look at how they spend free time. Salary mindset evenings, relaxing, consuming entertainment, decompressing. Wealth mindset evenings, learning and building. Read books about finance and investing. Work on a side project. Network with other entrepreneurs. They see free time as a resource to invest in themselves and build future earning potential and assets. The journey from a salary mindset to a wealth mindset is not an overnight transformation. It is a gradual shift. It is a process of unlearning old habits and slowly building new ones. It begins not with a grand gesture, but with a single small choice. It starts with the decision to think differently. You must recognize that your income alone will not set you free. True freedom comes from what you do with that income. It comes from directing your money toward the purchase of assets, not just liabilities. Wealth is not a number in a bank account. It is a way of thinking. If you wish to have a life with more choices, with more freedom, the change must begin within. You must start to see every dollar you earn not just as money to be spent, but as a seed with the potential to grow. You have to ask a new set of questions. Does this purchase move me closer to my long-term goals? Is there a way to automate my savings so that I invest before I am tempted to spend? How can I learn more about simple, effective ways to make my money work for me? These small internal shifts are the foundation upon which a new financial reality is built. Make one small change today. It does not have to be monumental. Open a separate savings account and set up an automatic transfer for a small amount from every paycheck. Just $10. The amount is not as important as the act of starting the habit. Go to your local library or a website and check out one simple book about personal finance or passive investing. Spend 30 minutes learning, not earning. These small actions begin to rewire your brain. They create new pathways and prove to yourself that a different approach is possible. Over time, these small steps accumulate. The $10 automatic transfer becomes 50, then 100. One book leads to another. Your confidence grows. You will begin to see your money not as something that disappears each month, but as a growing army of workers you are sending out into the world. You will slowly but surely move from trading all your hours for dollars to owning assets that pay you. This is the path. This is the way you move from the salary mind to the wealth mind. The journey to freedom begins with that very first step. Wealth is not about how much you earn. It is about how you think. Change the mindset. The numbers follow.